Ronzel, you up?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to say welcome, everyone, to Building Relationships in the Virtual Classroom. My name is Ronzel Smith. I'm one of your presenters, and my coworker and colleague is Shannon Neighbor. We're from the MSTS Behavior under the Culture and Climate. So let's dive into it. Our next slide is the components of MTSS. And let me just share my screen. As you can tell, quarantine has been real good to me right now. I was 150 pounds when it started, and now I'm a little bit heavier. One of the components under the MTSS, we really, all our decision making is driven by data. We focus on an overall school improvement that is sustainable. And what we mean by sustainable, no matter who leaves and come to your school, we want to make sure those systems are sustainable and effective. And the way we value effectiveness is through data. Everything we do aligns with the resources and it supports for students and for teachers and staff who drive the instruction. Other components are, our MTS.
Sorry, Ronzo.
Oh, you're fine.
Go to that one.
Our MTSS department is aligned into three branches, basically. We have the academic, we have the engagement, and the behavior. The academic focus on the curriculum and design and learning intervention. The engagement really focuses on those high-yield pedagogy to engage students. In the MTSS behavior, we really focus on PBIS, restorative practice, and building those sustainable systems within your school to improve the climate and culture, just not in your school, but in our overall district. Our Culture and Climate division is led by Dr. Katie DeFiori. She's the assistant superintendent over climate and culture. The MTSS work is our department leader, Dr. Naomi Brahim, and our supervisor is Sandra Hensel. We are broken up into 5 zones. So no matter what zone you are in, you have a resource teacher from engagement and the behavior side assigned to you. And if you don't know who that person is, just reach out to our department. Our emails will be at the end of this presentation, and feel free to email us with any questions that you might have. Today, our learning intentions, we will discuss ways to build meaningful relationships with your students during the first week of school, and how to maintain those positive relationships throughout the school year virtually, and really focus on building those relationships during this NTI as we move to more in person. Some of the strategies to build your classroom community and to help build your relationships are circles. Present a question all students can answer in those small group interactions. Meet the teacher through video introduction or Google Slide. Literature and stories. This allows opportunities for discussion around real world events. If it's any other time in history, this is a great time to discuss what's really going on in the world, but through a strategy and a relationship building way, because our students are living this reality. Personalized feedback. Students will love this individual attention. And let's not forget, in the digital world now, we can build those virtual field trips, since we can't really go on field trips right now, due to COVID-19. Building relationships. Virtual circles. There can be no vulnerability without risk. There can be no community without vulnerability. There can be no peace and ultimately no life without community. So let's think of the very first circle that we ever saw back in the day virtually. My son and I was looking at an old rerun of the Brady Bunch. Now, doesn't that remind you of a Google Meet or a virtual circle? The intro to the Brady Bunch. It just reminds me of a Zoom call. So, but virtual circles can really help build the relationships and just to foster those relationships as we move into this NTI period. Why should we even do circles? Circles help us build relationships, give people an equal voice, and it promotes emotional well-being. It empowers change and growth, and it increases the responsibility, and it creates a safe space. Think about whatever we do, from sports to our place of worship, or just hanging out at your local bar or restaurant. Naturally, as humans, we actually form a circle because we want everyone to have an equal say and an equal voice to express themselves. So when you're creating these circles, say in Google Meet, you want to set norms. And this is setting the expectations around how long the answer should be. And why is this? Because one of those norms that you can set, when you're not talking, mute your microphone. We don't talk when other people are talking because we can't hear. And the purpose, we have to establish a purpose, state the purpose of the circle. Because as the instructor, as the teacher, as the leader of the circle, we want to set a certain tone that students understand the expectation, so we don't get too sidetracked with other things. And questions might come up. Questions come up so everyone can answer. We want to establish questions that everyone can answer, so you just don't have people that might not want to talk, but we want to set safe questions. And don't worry, we have a solution for you. Shannon, can you click on the virtual circle topic? One of the things that our department did to help establish just some questions, we kind of outlined the first 6 weeks of questions, so that it can help just guiding questions. For the third week, a storytelling from our lives. Second week, check-in circles. Now, depending on your grade level and the maturity of your students, and you might just want to change a little bit of the wording to fit those students. But when we went to design the questions, these questions can be asked from K through 12. For example, ninth graders love telling stories. Kindergartners love telling stories. So you might just have to change a little wording, but these questions are a great guideline to help you get started. Now let's take a look at one of the videos. And one of the things that we want you to do is that I have my screen split, but we have someone monitoring the chat. I'm going to pose a question to you guys in the virtual world. What circle strategies did you use last school year? And what did you pull out the video that we're about to watch?
Hey guys, we cannot hear that video. Did you want me to try to play it through my screen?
You can if you want. It's okay.
Okay.
It's just a short little video, so they'll have the link to it, and they can, watch it.
Yeah, and I've posted the link to your presentation multiple times in the chat, so it is there.
Okay, thank
you. We appreciate it. On the next one, you want to really do check in with your students every day. And one of the things that you can do within a circle is just have a temperature check. And what a temperature check is, you can go around and say, what type of day are you having? Maybe you'll have a student say, my day is a sunny day. Or you might have a student that states, I'm having a thunderstorm type of day. So you really know how to engage those students and really know what type of questions to pose just to kind of build that relationship. Because let's not forget, our students have been home since March, and I can only tell a personal story right now on my own son. I took him to pick up, he's entering the 6th grade, a registration and everything. And he was very nervous on starting 6th grade virtually because his biggest fear was, well, I might not make any friends over the computer. So this would be a great time to build those relationships, to get kids to learn each other, to know each other, and to build mutual respect for each other.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because my part of the presentation, I will go into and give examples of how you can build relationships with your students, but also, within the classroom with each other to build those relationships. So thank you. And this quote, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And like Ronzel, with those circles and checking in every day, that'll really let the students know that you care about them and how they're feeling. Okay, so I'm going to go into how to build communities within the classroom, because that is very important. Under normal circumstances, you would have a back to school night where you would meet your students. They'd come in, the elementary kids would be so excited to drop off their school supplies. Maybe not the high school or middle school kids, but you aren't going to be able to do that this year. But you can still, there are several ways that you can introduce yourself to students. You can, here's an example, I'm not going to play it because the video is not working, but you could do a virtual meet the teacher through Google Slides, and there's slides on here like your favorite books, what you did over, the summer. There's even a section on here how you can introduce your class. So like meet your classmates, and there's some ideas. So I would definitely check that out. And there's ways that the students can also introduce themselves to their classmates. Giving personalized feedback is also a way to give your students, right now they might feel a little isolated, so it'll give clear communication between you and your students. It'll also encourage them and motivate them to be active participants in their work, and also maybe during the Google Meet sessions, they won't feel isolated. Like we were talking about those small group interactions. Normally, the first couple weeks of school, you would build relationships in small groups. So you would watch how your students work together, listen for if they're meeting your expectations, working in groups, and that really builds community in the classroom. So you're not going to be able to do that this year, but you can do it virtually. I know that on the Learning Channel last week, there were some great breakout room sessions through Google Meet, ideas on how to do that and set it up. And this is a quick video too that you could watch on how to set up breakout rooms. But this will create a safe learning space, and that's very important that we give students that feeling that they are safe. They want to connect and interact with their peers. And Google Meet breakout rooms, that's an excellent way to do that. It'll also give you an opportunity to just kind of listen into the student discussions. You can do small group interactions, and later in the presentation, I will give some ideas of games that will also help build community. Storytelling and podcasts. JCPS has podcasts for kids right here and Audible, and those are all free subscriptions that kids can, log on to. You can also, in the teacher backpack, I know the Equity Committee has excellent resources. We have to share stories to build community, especially with what is going on in our community today. We have to acknowledge it, and we have to allow, in some cases, these sensitive, emotional topics to be discussed. And pulling in literature is a great way to start these conversations, and just pulling in resources for topics that you can discuss. We have here Class Dojo for remote learning. Again, here's a little quick video. You maybe had used Class Dojo for communication with parents during when you were in brick and mortar, but now they have a virtual learning platform that is excellent. You can post, stories to your students. Your students can post stories. You can send out messages to families. You can tell, class stories virtually. So that is an excellent resource to check out the remote learning platform. Like I had said before, playing games, it's a great icebreaker, and it just kind of makes everybody feel a little more relaxed and safe. Here's an example of, it's called the change game, where you pick a person to be the leader. Everybody focuses on the leader for 5 seconds. They walk off and change 3 things about themselves. Of course, you'll have to set the expectations for your students like you always do. But that's just kind of a fun game. It's lighthearted. They come back and everybody has to guess what they changed. Another great game is the Scavenger Hunt, where you can use an online spinner, and you can do several things with this. You could have them pick something in their household that starts with that letter and come back and share it. But you do have to let them know that it's okay if they can't find something. This is also a great activity to play with the staff. It doesn't just have to be with students. We know that our students love field trips. They are not going to be able to do that right now virtually, but virtually they can. We can't go somewhere, but there are excellent resources here on virtual field trips that you can do with your class. You could maybe set a goal where if they get so many points or whatever your reward system is virtually, that on Friday they get to do a virtual field trip. And these resources go into detail. They have pre-activities to do before the field trip, and then you take the field trip and activities to do after. That will just give something for the students to look forward to, something they can work towards. And it will support all learners. And I also put in here just a little lunch with the teacher. That's something quick that you can do to build relationships. Maybe you pick 3 students, each week to invite them to eat lunch with you. That's something fun that they would look forward to spend that time with you.
Hey, Shannon.
Yes.
I think one of the other things that, as they're building relationships, they can also invite other family members to be part of their virtual learning, and take their family members to help be engaged, like on the virtual field trips and with the lunch of the teachers.
That's a great idea. And then that way they can also meet the parents and take in the family with them. Maybe they discover places that they've never, that they normally wouldn't have the opportunity to visit. It's a good idea. So here's Kahoot. They have a distance learning Kahoot, so games that you can play, academic games with your students. That'll keep them engaged. Here we have linked all the resources that we have in the presentation, articles. And please reach out to us if you have any questions, if you want more resources. We are here to help you in any way that we can. Anybody in the zone, we have that in the beginning of the slide in the introduction. Anybody you can reach out and we will help you. So that is all we have today. Is there anything in the chat that we need to
just a bunch of positive affirmation. Justin Elliott says these relationships are the beginning of deeper learning, and you cannot skip these steps of relating to kids and expect them to stick with you through project-based learning. So just reiterating the power of relationship building.
Right, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us today. I just posted a link to your presentation in the chat, and we have that.
Okay.
And so we have